This is Valley News Live at 4.
Snow has been coming down all day, and that could mean trouble for your evening commute. Plus, more snow is expected overnight. Let's check in with First Alert forecaster Summer Snellbach for the latest. Summer?
It has been a snowy one, and let me just be the first to tell you, we were not expecting the snow this afternoon to push quite this far into the valley, let alone linger this long. The snow is still coming down. Here's a look at our Dakota Magic Casino sky cam down in Hankinson, North Dakota. A little bit of breeze as well starting to pick up, along with the flakes continuing to fall. On satellite and radar tonight, it is slowly diminishing as it continues to push to the south. Most of the snow now down in South Dakota, but still seeing those flakes down across the extreme southeastern North Dakota corner, and there's more on the way, but we'll get to that in just a second. Current conditions, most of us are in the single digits, some low teens with some few flurries still continuing. Tonight in Fargo, it is going to be a cold one. Temperatures will be continuing to fall into the single digits, along with a fairly cloudy sky. And more snow is on the way. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, I'll be timing out where it is right now, when it will impact portions of the valley, and what they may mean for your Tuesday morning commute.
All right, thanks, Summer. Here's a look at today's top 4 at 4. More Minnesotans will be able to get their coronavirus vaccine soon. Starting at noon tomorrow, people over 65 years old, teachers, and childcare workers can schedule an appointment to get their shot. Vaccines will be distributed to 9 pilot sites across the state, including 2 in our area, 1 in Fergus Falls and 1 in Thief River Falls. You can schedule an appointment over the phone at the phone number on your screen. If you'd like to book online, visit the Minnesota Department of Health website. You can find a link on our VNL News app. Just click on this story. Students with Fargo Public Schools are headed back to their classrooms tomorrow. Elementary, middle, and high school students will return to in-person learning. Students enrolled in the virtual academy can finish out the school year there. The FPS Instructional Planning Committee will meet again on February 8th to reassess the COVID-19 situation. They'll also discuss a potential vaccination plan for staff. The controversial Keystone XL pipeline could be in jeopardy under the Biden administration. The Canadian Broadcasting Company is reporting the U.S. president-elect has indicated plans to cancel permits via executive action on his first day in office. Tensions remain high on Capitol Hill in the wake of the January 6th assault and the threat of more violence during Wednesday's presidential inauguration. We'll have the latest from Washington, D.C. coming up in just a few minutes. That wraps up today's top 4 at 4. Now here are the rest of the day's top stories. 3 local colleges are hosting online events throughout the day to commemorate the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Valley News Live's Brian Sherrod has more.
North Dakota State University, Concordia College, and Minnesota State University Moorhead provided online events for this day. These events couldn't happen in person because of COVID. Now, NDSU providing readings, including I Have a Dream, The Other America, Letter from Birmingham Jail, and I've Been to the Mountaintop, virtually. Concordia College providing panel discussions and keynote speakers, including Jason Soul and Lakota Hardin. MSUM Campus Diversity Director Jared Pigeon discussed the importance of this day.
Okay, we apologize for that. We're having some technical difficulties with that video, but we will get back to you on that in a little bit. Meanwhile, Concordia is offering a Q&A that runs until 5:30 this evening on that topic, so it's not too late to join. You can head to our VNL News app for those details. President-elect Joe Biden is spending the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service volunteering near home. The president-elect and future First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, arrived at a Feeding America event called Philabundance in Philadelphia this morning. The Bidens joined an outdoor assembly line to help pack food boxes. Philabundance provides more than 24 million pounds of food each year to those in need, including smaller community food banks. Security is incredibly tight throughout Washington 2 days before President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. A false alarm over a fire near the Capitol triggered a brief lockdown this morning as tensions remain high. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand reports on the preparations for Wednesday's events from Washington.
The Capitol complex went on temporary lockdown and an inauguration rehearsal was evacuated. It turned out to be a small fire under a nearby highway, but the scare illustrates the heightened state of security in Washington, D.C. Law enforcement and National Guard troops from states across the country are still arriving at the nation's capital ahead of Wednesday's inauguration. President-elect Joe Biden will take the oath of office outside on the West Front, despite the continued security threats in the wake of this month's attack on the Capitol. But access to the public is limited between the security concerns and the pandemic. Even the 20,000 plus troops that have come here to help stand guard must undergo screening. The National Guard says if there's any indication of extremist views, it would be handed over to law enforcement or handled within the chain of command. More than 20 current or former members of the U.S. military or law enforcement have been identified as being at or near the riot on January 6th. Jim McDonnell is the former L.A. County Sheriff.
This is a very, very important day in American history, and we all have an obligation to ensure that it is as safe as possible for everybody, not only in D.C., but across the United States as well.
Less than 48 hours before he's set to be sworn in, President-elect Biden visited a food bank in Philadelphia in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, packing boxes on this day of service. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
A federal law enforcement official confirmed to CBS News the FBI is looking at foreign and domestic funding of the attack. Both North Dakota and Minnesota are sending soldiers to Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. 130 soldiers from the 816th Military Police Company will join 20 members of the North Dakota National Guard who were already on their way to the Capitol. That unit is headquartered in Dickinson. About 850 members of Minnesota's National Guard are headed to the Capitol. 25,000 soldiers are streaming into Washington from across the country, at least 2.5 times more than previous inaugurals. The coronavirus pandemic cut air travel at North Dakota's airports in half last year. North Dakota's 7 largest airports finished 2020 with about 572,000 passenger bookings. The State Aeronautics Commission says that's a 52% drop from the previous year and the lowest passenger count since 2003. COVID-19 arrived in North Dakota in March, and passenger numbers in April plummeted by 95%. That's the lowest monthly count since record-keeping began 40 years ago. Up next, meet a 5-year-old who is launching a project to promote diversity.
And we have a quick break in the action tonight from snowfall, but even more is on the way. I'll have your hour-by-hour details next in weather.